leaving that intact as long as you can, especially early in retirement, the longer it will last.
I'm going to be
Good morning.
at Brighton this morning.
Okay. Oh, you're fine. Come on in. We got your food. Yes. Yes. My hands are full. Kimberly.
And then I did something
Renata.
good this morning.
Renata.
Oh, hi, Sherry. Thank you.
Good to see you.
I was hoping I was going to make it. I signed up last minute.
Do we have a sign-in sheet or?
No, I think Brian's going to ready to go though.
Okay.
I'm pretty good. I'm Herbie. Nice to meet you.
You too.
You too. I don't know what
Are you in
you.
Wettiscombe or no?
Huh?
Where did you hear about the event? Are you?
Oh, I've been to.
Yeah,
I've been to them. I haven't been able to do it because I've been moving and because of life. Things that happen. And I do think I need to make an appointment with you
Okay.
to, because the shit is at the fan in the last couple
Oh.
weeks.
Yeah. Well, here's kind of hard, or we can even, before you leave today, we just schedule a time to get together.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
hugs from me.
just quickly, so the house has been in a trust, right down. My siblings and I he lives in California,
Okay.
realized that he has some dementia. They changed the trust before that. Yeah, and he cut me out totally. He gave it all to my brother, which I think that's classic.
Yeah.
You know, 20 years I've been taking care
I was
of
gonna say, the one who.
Yeah.
Isn't
How's your
here.
son doing? But like my dad can no longer understand females talking, only males. So my brother and my son are.
Yeah, we drove out and took some pictures.
So, but I need to be able to practice.
I almost missed it.
Myself and my sister.
Oh, my name's clear?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Figure out where we're at.
Yeah.
with everything. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's the synopsis.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
Good.
yes, anyway, yeah.
We can see, he owns a free clear.
Yeah, there's no mortgage on it, and so my husband and I actually paid off the mortgage. Yeah, oh yeah, but he doesn't remember any of that.
Right.
He doesn't remember, so it's like having to dig, and I just moved it, I just moved, so I didn't think I needed those papers right away.
Right, yeah.
I did tell him, he goes, no you didn't, I said, I saved the text stuff because I thought my brother would be the one that would
Right,
want it.
right, good one, yeah.
And now my dad is,
Does your brother live?
he lives in Gibson.
Oh, okay.
No, my dad is in Northern California.
Okay, so neither of you were close. Wasn't
No, that's why it took so long for us to,
figure out.
fortunately, my brother, we met on the 6th, he had something wrong with that. So that was a big,
Yeah, yeah. To find out, yeah.
Thanks for texting me
And he
this
sees
morning.
it, so,
Thanks for texting me
yeah.
this morning. I was laughing, so it's not so much her responsibility. She always takes care, you always take care of me though.
I just want to make sure what I.
No, and you saved me
my
before.
dad,
Oh, yeah.
that he's changed the.
It's actually prepared today, so.
I'm like, what?
I'm leaving, don't mind you signing.
Oh, anyway,
how long
So
ago
I
did
keep track of everybody.
The
I'm
23rd
leaving
of
for
October.
vacation tomorrow.
See, so this is really new.
It's a little, you know,
Did
so,
you just go on vacation?
You might be able to fight that.
that's a going home, it's not vacation.
Right, right.
They work with an attorney to do it.
He did, and so,
That's the realtor's life, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's Vacation.
we did.
Yeah,
My
and
brother
then right
was-
before
My
the
brother is,
vacation, everybody needs me and.
Not as asking about.
I'm in the closet this
I
afternoon.
hang out at the center all the
Right.
time. I know
Service.
this,
Right,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But he's not willing to say that, but, yeah, it's kind of a big mess. Like I said, I didn't think I was gonna need to be here.
Yeah.
But I do now.
Yes,
You
yes.
just get an extra.
Yeah, I know.
I want one of these, if that's okay.
Absolutely, please do. Good to see you.
Are you doing the talk today?
I am.
I kind of figured that this was
Thanks for
emotional.
having me. Good to meet you. Yes, I know.
There it is, yeah.
Hi, I'm
I don't
Celine. I'm
think
at
I
Bright
did.
Care Center.
Oh, okay, Renata.
Yeah, nice to meet you. She is reverse mortgage specialist that helps my clients.
Here it comes again.
Yeah.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Hi. Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah.
There's a little sign-in sheet.
Hey, you're so good.
And
Nice to meet you.
This is a hug for me to you. Get your favorite
I'm
color.
well.
Did you bring more?
Thank you.
You do the, as well, like the in-house, just getting people.
People say
And I had.
physical,
Yes.
versus financial,
Yeah.
something like that. Keep them safe in their homes.
So, this is so nice.
It's ridiculous.
That's what I.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Did you have
Oh,
these
yeah.
made or? Yeah, I
Good so far. I was hoping it would be sunny.
Oh,
because
thank you.
I'm in the backyard, but when it's like this, I'm like, yeah, but I need to get out there and do it. I've got a huge tree and, leaves are almost.
Are you guys gonna do this again next year?
Yes, yes,
Here?
yes, yes.
Pick up my
Second
crap.
Wednesday.
So Wednesday.
The same
We're getting our lineup
So
ready.
you
Yep.
feel
Okay.
it all the way, so.
But certainly,
yeah.
you know, moving
That is-
forward, if there's other
okay.
things that you would like us to, you know, have presenters speak on,
I'm just not
that's always
ready
helpful,
for
that
the whole
feedback.
Well, you know, and that was the thing that, the few classes I was able, or
I did okay.
Yeah.
that I was able to attend, I got so much
I know.
information.
Mhm.
Kind of,
Because I absolutely,
right, you know,
well,
right,
then
you know,
if
you
it's
did.
now, it's
Yeah.
where
That's
it's
what I
not
got.
any
Resources.
brainstorm yet,
Yeah, I've got people
Yeah.
that call me 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
You know, they didn't
Yeah,
get that.
yeah, because usually by Halloween, it has
But they
rained.
get it now, so
Yeah.
that's the idea, put it in there right away,
It was
they need
nice
it.
for how it
Yes, yes, completely right.
Oh, the clock's gone, Brad.
I know, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Well, that's what I heard about is that now they'll just all dump.
Yeah, they had to change it.
Well, yeah.
They're like clocks now
Yeah.
too. So many people are like,
Yeah, you just get used to looking for that clock.
So there's the microphone, it is on.
Okay.
So you can just clip it to wherever, just kind of stay close to it.
Okay.
Your choice.
All right. So we'll get going in a couple minutes here.
The clock lost its satellite connection. It was really fun watching it because the hands were just like going everywhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So I'll just do this.
Yep, or you can use the mouse and click there also, those two arrows.
Sweet. All right, we'll just wait a couple more minutes and we'll get going.
My best friend used to make these and she's dead, so I really.
Oh, jeez.
Speaking of grief.
Yeah, right.
Yes, yeah, Jesse Redmond. Hi. Good. How are you? Are you here for talking grief?
Yes.
If you don't mind signing in, get yourself some drink or light, and we can start in just a couple minutes.
Thanks.
Good, thank you.
Well, good morning and welcome. Thanks for being here. I'm Renata Anderson. I am part of the Aging Wisely support network that's been putting these on. Actually, this is completing our second year. And so we will be continuing next year. It's always the second Wednesday at 10 a.m. Just a little note, we will not be having a meeting in December. So yeah, yeah, there were some time conflicts and different things, so we decided that this year that we were going to kind of skip that. But join us on January 14th for estate planning. Jesse Rember, an estate attorney, will be talking about estate planning and that. So that's always good and useful information that we all need to hear. So we will kind of get started here with some introductions. First of all, Aging Wisely is a group of network of professionals that we've put together this series, and it's really just to be here as a resource for the community and to bring speakers and information. The network includes myself, again, Renata Anderson. I am with Simple Reverse. I'm a reverse mortgage specialist, helping people to age in place or make a move with a reverse mortgage. We have Sherry Cree, who's, yeah, come on up, who's a realtor and one of our partners here.
Yes, I focus on serving real estate needs for seniors and caregiving families. And I think I'm an old soul. I like working with the whole family to make the transition easier.
Thank you. And then Kimberly Diaz, who's actually going to be our speaker today, but she's part of our group helping put this together. So I guess you want to say a few words now, or you want to wait?
I could just wait.
Okay. And then also Kelsey Mackley is part of our group, and she, I'm sure, is really busy right now. She helps people with their Medicare benefits, and so she's a great resource. If you haven't reviewed that yet for this year, make sure you're reviewing it with somebody. Yeah, lots of changes. I know they say that every year, but it is really true. And then I also wanted to introduce Thomas, who is our snack sponsor. Yeah. And so we thank him for all the goodies always, and the coffee, and yes. And Thomas is with Lifeway Mobility, and so they have tools and things to help you age in place. So.
Yes, I'm Thomas with Lifeway Mobility. I'm a home access specialist. I help people keep safe in their homes physically, so versus financially or any other ways like that. Help you keep safe in the transition areas, getting in and out of the home, getting in and out of the bathtub, stairs, that type of thing. So got some information back there. If anybody has any questions, just let me know. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Thomas.
And just a little plug, I recently have a client that I helped get home from, who'd been in long-term care for quite some time, and family wanted to get him home. And one of the obstacles was the stairs. So being able to get a chairlift in there, they came in, they installed that along with some other modifications made it able for him to come home and be with his wife and his family. So it's life-changing.
Yeah, it is. So, well, now we're going to hear from Kimberly. Kimberly is the founder of Care Matters and Caring Minds Dementia Consulting and Training. She serves the Denver metro area since 2018. She's an author, a speaker, trauma-informed consultant who draws over 27 years of experience to guide families and caregivers through the complexities of grief and aging and compassion, education, and heart-centered support. So just to plug for Kimberly, if she has more knowledge of working with seniors than anybody I know. If she doesn't do it or have somebody, she will find out and she can help you, whatever that might be. So she's a wealth of information. Look forward to hearing from her. Thank you.
All right, so grief, kind of a heavy subject. And I want this, I've got a PowerPoint, we're gonna go along that, but I want it to be interactive because I think it's really important for people to understand what grief is, what it isn't, and how it just affects everybody differently. So question I have for you. Have any of you experienced a loss that changed the way you view life? Yeah. When you hear the word grief, what's the first feeling or image that comes to your mind? that moment. So it keeps kind of replaying that phone call or that, okay?
The heaviness of it.
Yeah.
That's what I would say, the heaviness in her.
Finality.
Finality. All right. How many of you have supported someone else through grief? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you feel that grief has a timeline, or does it show up in waves throughout life? Yeah.
I have a good friend who's a nurse, and she's like, it's been 6 months, how come they're not getting over it? You got me kidding.
Yeah.
I would think as a nurse, she would have.
You know what? I'm also a death doula, and the gift that that has given me is to really, you know, when I did hospice for 17 years, to be, you know, next to so many people on their final journey. That's what really gave me that spirituality and that compassion, because just as a nurse, you don't necessarily have that. A lot of nurses don't even ever deal with death. So it really depends on, you know, the type of nursing you're doing. Exploring misconceptions. What are some things people say about grief that you found unhelpful?
Get over it. Time will heal you.
Everything happens for a reason. My best friend, since we were 10, just lost her husband last year at 58 years old to cancer, and I went there as her support, and he left behind 3 teenage children. And somebody said that to her, and she was so pissed. Like, why, you know, how does that even relate? Why would he ever leave us like this? So people just don't know what to say sometimes. And when you don't know what to say, don't say anything. You know, just be present. Have you ever felt pressure to move on before you were ready? Yeah. Doesn't feel good when people just expect you, like you said, to get over it. If grief were a color, what color would it be for you right now?
It'd be gray.
Yeah. Yeah. What is one thing you wish people understood better about grieving?
Takes time.
Well, it's different for everybody. And some people don't understand that. They think grief is one way, and you should express it in that manner. Why aren't you crying? Why aren't you sad? Why aren't you this? It's different for everybody.
Yeah. And that's one of the beautiful things about hospice that a lot of people don't realize is after the person on hospice passes away, you get hospice support, bereavement support for 13 months after. Because initially you're supported by all your loved ones and you have all this support, then that goes away. And maybe 3 months, 6 months, 8 months down the road, something happens and you're just flooded with this emotion. And if you didn't have the ability to tap into that support again, it could be very detrimental. So when I think of grief, I think of it differs based on the relationship you have with somebody, right? The closer you are to somebody, the bigger that grief usually feels. If it was a loving relationship. I kind of think of, you know, grief as like a huge suitcase or a huge treasure chest. And over time, it gets smaller, maybe into a suitcase size you can bring on a plane, or to a purse size, or to a wallet, but it never leaves. And why would you want it to? It's an emotion, a connection that you have with that person that you don't necessarily want to forget that. So that's what really, you know, it bothers me when I hear people just expect people to get over it. You're never going to get over it. And why would you want to? It's an emotion. It's a love for a person that no longer is here, or an animal, or a situation. And that's some of what we're going to talk about, because grief isn't just the loss of a person. It could be loss of a person that's still here, right, in dementia. You lose somebody over and over and over again. Or a situation. I have a movement disorder, so I lost the use of my hands. So I grieved my career my life path. And then I had brain surgery and I got it back. But that's a grief. So, I mean, grief shows up in a lot of different ways. And then, here it is, opening vulnerability. So grief can show up in unexpected ways, physically, emotionally, and even spiritually. What's something you've noticed about your own grief? So these are just some things to think about as we go through this. And again, I want this to be open conversation. So if you've got a question, you want to add something, please feel free to do that. Okay, so understanding grief. It's, the holidays brings up a lot of emotions sometimes. I don't have a close relationship to my family any longer due to some things that I'm personally grieving. So my husband and I, we're going to go to Paris and Amsterdam. That's what we're going to do. That's how we're going to celebrate. I've also talked to families that I work with that are dealing with dementia and other things that are very concerned about how they're going to handle their families. And sometimes give yourself a time frame. Maybe you just go for dinner and stay for an hour or two and go back home. You've got to do what works for you, not what's going to make the person that's cooking the dinner happy or whatever. You've got to take care of yourself and not feel guilty about that. Okay, so Grief is Love with Nowhere to Go. Okay, by Jamie Anderson. Grief connects us through shared humanity and our capacity to love deeply. Today we'll explore what grief truly is, learn to recognize its many forms, and discover compassionate ways to navigate it, especially during the emotional complex of the holiday season. This is a safe place, okay, to acknowledge the weight that you carry and to find gentle pathways forward. There's no judges here. Okay, so grief is natural. It's multidimensional. It's a multidimensional response to a loss. It affects us emotionally, physically, cognitively, and spiritually, no matter what your spiritual belief is, even if you don't have one, okay? It's still going to affect you. Far from being a single emotion, grief is complex, a complex tapestry of feelings and experiences that unfold uniquely for each person. And again, it's going to depend on your relationship with that person or that thing that you're grieving. Grief is not a problem to solve, okay? It's a deeply human process to experience, honor, and gradually integrate into our lives. So here's some of the different types. Death-related loss, I think we've all probably experienced that. Anticipatory grief, mourning a loss that hasn't yet occurred, often with a terminal illness, or with so many of the families that I work with that are dealing with someone with dementia. As I mentioned, they lose that person over and over and over again. Ambiguous loss, so grief without closure. That can also be dementia. Estrangement, I'm personally dealing with estrangement with two of my daughters right now. It's terribly painful. Or missing persons. Imagine if one of your loved ones just disappeared. You just don't know, so that ambiguity to that. Cumulative loss, multiple losses occurring close together, compounding emotional impact. My girlfriend that I mentioned, she lost her husband. 2 months later, she lost her dad. 2 months after that, the kids lost, and I think of the kids, they lost their grandmother on the other side. So within 4 months, bam, bam, bam. What grief is not? These misconceptions can create unnecessary suffering or shame during an already difficult time. It's not weakness, okay? Not at all. Grief reflects the depth of the love and connection you had with somebody. It's not a straight line. It's not linear. You're going to have ebbs and flows. You're going to have, maybe a smell of something that's going to remind you of your grandmother's perfume or, their favorite color. And it will come in it'll come in waves. Some days it'll feel manageable. Other days it won't. My girlfriend told me it took her 6 months before she could get out of bed every single day without just feeling like she couldn't even stand up when her feet hit the ground. And it's not limited to the 5 stages, as we've all known. And actually, they're redoing that model because over time we've learned that that's not how it goes. And again, it's not something you get over. It's not about moving on, but it's about moving forward while you're carrying that love and that connection with you. It's not something to forget. All right, so some of the emotional signs. So profound sadness or yearning, guilt or regret about what was said, what wasn't said. As a death doula, if people want to talk about their regrets, I'll go there with them. But let's talk about all the accomplishments that you did, because there's way more of those than there are regrets. Anger at the situation, others, or even at the deceased. How could you leave me like this? Why did you leave me? Relief, that has its own guilt. Many of the families that I do consulting with dementia have a sense of relief when that person dies because it just takes so much out of them to care for that person that they stop caring for themselves. So it is relief, but that comes with its own guilt. Numbness or feeling of disconnected. You almost disassociate from the world around you. Physical symptoms, persistent fatigue, low energy, sleep disturbance. Can't sleep because all you're doing is thinking. Or you're sleeping too much. You're sleeping 16 hours a day, 18 hours a day because you just can't bear to get up. Changes in appetite and weight. Oftentimes you're not eating, you're not taking care of yourself, or it can go the opposite way where you're overeating to compensate. Body aches, chest tightness, panic attacks, headaches, weakened immune system. Now you're getting a cold all the time, or you're coughing all the time, you're not feeling well. Cognitive changes, difficulty concentrating or making decisions. In grief, our frontal lobe can slow down, can shut down, so we can't even think straight. Memory problems, forgetfulness. And then you start to think, my God, am I getting dementia now that, this happened? No, this is just what your body's going through, how it's coping with this grief. Intrusive thoughts or rumination, disorientation, feeling foggy-headed. Is it PMS? Is it grief? Preoccupation with the deceased. Sometimes you'll see that where people really, put murals and have, all sorts of things, which is okay if that's what they need to do, but over time, that shouldn't be their entire focus, although I do have a couple of friends that have lost children, and fortunately, I haven't had to deal with that in the way of a true death, but, you never get over that. Your child is not supposed to die before you do. Behavioral shifts, so social withdrawal or isolation, not enjoying the things you used to enjoy. Maybe that's the TV programs or the groups that you used to, play cards with or engage with. Restlessness, difficulty staying still, irritability with others. Everybody just ticks you off. Crying episodes or inability to cry. It can go either way. Avoiding reminders of the loss. So grief can mimic depression, okay? But depression lacks the moments of hope, connection, and meaning that grief often allows. And grief has that trigger, okay? But it can feel and look very similar. If it persists without any relief or worsens over time, of course you can get into depression, so you may want to seek some professional help. I personally would, grief counseling, things like that before I think you would need to go to medications, but that's an individual choice. but there's a lot of good grief counselors out there that's what they really focus on, is grief, to help you move beyond that. So the spiritual dimensions of grief. It's okay to be angry at God, the universe, source, whatever you believe in. It's okay to question everything. This isn't a crisis of faith. It's a natural response to a profound loss. I think that because, a lot of people, depending on your religion, if you're angry at God, well, then you've got guilt about that. But this is all very normal. Loss often triggers these profound spiritual questions and shifts in understanding of meaning, purpose, and faith. This dimension of grief is deeply personal and can manifest in many ways. Questioning beliefs that you've had before, still. And I don't think that it's ever wrong to question things anyway, to dig a little bit deeper. Maybe as you've grown, maybe some of your, things that you believe in has changed. Searching for meaning in the loss. Sometimes there is no meaning. It was just a tragedy. When I was a trauma nurse, that's what I dealt with every single day. People went out to work on a regular day and never came home. Feeling disconnected from your spiritual practices that once brought you comfort. Experiencing profound existential questions about life and death. Seeking connection through prayer, meditation, or nature. Those are very, helpful ways. These spiritual wrestlings are a normal part of processing the loss. Can anybody share anything that they've done that they found to be helpful in the spiritual manner?
Poetry.
Poetry.
Yeah, poetry's been amazing because it's not always having those feelings is what you don't, if you keep them inside of you. So poetry's been a catalyst just to get your thoughts and your emotions flowing without any kind of structure, and it's been healing to see what comes out of that.
I myself, through this estrangement with my daughters, I found myself writing a lot of letters. I don't send them, but getting it onto paper gets it out of your head, gets it out of your body. We hold so much in our bodies that we can become physically ill. So writing it out, just getting it out, like you said, poetry, journaling, meditation, whatever works for you. And there's no wrong way of feeling. Don't question the way you're feeling. The way you're feeling is the way you're feeling, and that's okay.
For me, so both my mother, I took care of her, and my husband took care of her. And probably there's a gender difference there, but the spirituality of that was vastly different.
Yeah.
And interesting.
Yeah. For you, it was different.
Yeah, well, they were dead. So.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful with my mom, and my husband fought it to the end, and I thought, made me question my beliefs about death and life afterwards.
I'll share a quick story. I took care of a gentleman on hospice who was an atheist, and his wife was very much a Christian woman. She had died several years before. He would help her at the church. He would support her, but that just wasn't his belief. Well, someone at some point told him, since he was an atheist, he would never see her again. And when him and I started working together, he shared that with me. So we talked a lot about that, and I told him that I was concerned that when it was time for him to transition, that spirituality was going to come up as a stopping block for him. And it did. And it came out loud and abrupt, and I stayed with him and he also let me know that he wanted to die alone. That's a very important thing to know about people. And his one daughter and I became very close, and his last day, the nursing home where he was at, because he had symptoms out of control, called me and said Tom was up all night screaming and yelling, and I said, all right, I'll be there. And I got there about 8 a.m. I stayed until about 7 o'clock at night. I played Phantom of the Opera, which was the music him and his wife listened to. We talked about Barbara. We got him to a point where he was peaceful, and I knew he was going to transition, opened the window, that's what he wanted, and all of that. And I told his daughter, I said, he's comfortable. I'm going to leave, but I need for you to leave within the next half hour or he's not going to go. So she texted me, she stayed about 20 minutes. She texted me that she was on their way home, and about 20 minutes later, we got the call from the nursing home that he passed. But I sat next to him that entire day, you know, rubbing his arms, holding his hands. We had diffusers going, playing music. Just that was really a true fear for him, which was holding him back from being able to transition, was that he would never be able to see her again because some jerk told him that, and that's what was left in his mind. So people, things that we say to people matter. So some healthy, you know, healthy coping strategies versus unhealthy, talking with trusted friends, journaling, working with a therapist allows grief to move through you rather than becoming stuck, versus completely withdrawing from all social connections, so isolating yourself, cutting off support systems that could be helpful. Meaningful rituals, creating memory projects, visiting significant places, establishing new traditions that honor your loved one. You know, make it something you look forward to doing. Versus substance abuse, right? Alcohol, drugs, medications. Just those are coping mechanisms that we use, but that are not the best choices for us. Mindful practices, meditation, prayer, poetry, simply sitting with your feelings without trying to fix them. Just let your body and your mind do what it needs to do and give it permission to do so instead of trying to control it. Because we like to control everything, but we can't. And we need to let it go through our body. Avoidance and denial, refusing to acknowledge the loss or suppressing all the emotions related to it. It's going to catch up with you. So it's really better if you're able to just work with it versus trying to hold it back. Physical care, so maintaining your routine, nourishing your body, being gentle with yourself, prioritizing rest, even if sleep is difficult. We should rest as hard as we work. Okay, I hear people all the time, I put 100% into my work. How much do you put into your rest? You need to put just as much into your rest because our bodies need that. Another unhealthy would be staying constantly busy, right, to avoid feelings, or caretaking others exclusively to avoid your own healing. That's not helpful to you in the long run. Community support, joining grief support groups, or connecting with others who understand what you're going through. Everybody's situation is going to be different, but still just having like-minded people is helpful. And then that emotional suppression, believing you must stay strong for others and never allow yourself to truly feel. So what's one thing you do that helps you feel connected and safe when grief visits? Yes?
I always get very sad around my dad's birthday because it's right before Thanksgiving. And we started a tradition called Dad Day, where my siblings and their children would all get on a call and just talk and catch up. And for me, it's a profoundly beautiful thing because I see my father in all of them. And you realize none of these people would exist had my father not existed.
Yeah.
And so there's this beautiful line, and that tends to get me through.
Good. Good. I love that. Anyone else? Yes. Oh, I thought you put your hand up.
I notice when I get down, and a lot of times the weather like now, it's gloomy, so it makes me gloomy. But what I try to do is sit and, or if not write it, but at least think about 5 to 10 things that I'm grateful for, so that I kind of get out of that, slump or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Anyone else?
So it's really important for me. I built quite a community with the people that I work out with in the pool, and sometimes I don't want to go, but I do.
And you feel
So
better when you go.
Yeah, physical and I would say for my physical and mental health.
Yeah.
I go.
Yeah. Sometimes you do. You've got to drag yourself places, but generally once you get there, you're glad that you did. You know, you're worth it. So grief.
I was
Yes.
just gonna mention,
Sure.
when you talk about support groups, so my cousin lost her 17-year-old son a few years back in a tragic accident. And she has said that the support group was the only thing that really got her through.
Yeah.
Being with other people who have dealt with it. And she's talked about, it's all different situations, but we're all going through it together. And that was what really, really helped her tremendously.
Yeah. My girlfriend too in Aurora, she lost her daughter at 17, and that's what she swears by too, is this support group that she's in. It's all moms that have lost children. And that's a different type of loss for sure. So, the holiday seasons can feel like walking through a minefield of memories and emotions when you're grieving. So cultural expectations of joy and celebration can make your sadness feel even more isolating sometimes, because you're supposed to be happy and you don't feel happy. Family traditions that once brought you comfort may now feel impossibly painful. You are not alone in your experience and your feelings. Whatever they are valid. And again, the holidays, any other time, but especially in the holidays, because I think everybody I talk to, you've got someone in the family that likes to start stuff, and there's always a challenging person in the family. So sometimes it's as simple as limiting your time there for your own mental health, and that's okay. Amplified memories. So holidays are built on traditions, shared experiences. Every decoration, song, or family recipe can trigger intense memories of your loved one. That could also be a good thing though too, right? So it depends on how you go about it. I know that, there's certain, my grandmother was my person, and there's certain ornaments that she's given to me. So every year when I put those up, they make me happy because they remind me of her, because she's still a part of her that I have with me. So it's how you frame it. Expectations, pressure. Society expects happiness and gratitude during the holidays. This, pressure when you're grieving creates, exhaustion, emotional dissonance. So paying attention to your body. Empty traditions. Again, activities that once brought meaning, may feel hollow now. The absence of your loved one is felt most acutely in familiar rituals. My grandma was also the matriarch. So family just hasn't been the same since she's been gone. And I didn't necessarily know she was the matriarch until she was gone. It's like, wow, you're all a bit crazy, aren't you? Grandma just kept everybody looking a little sane. So it's been interesting. Trigger moments, unexpected sensory experiences, a specific song, smell of a certain food, holiday decorations. This can all bring waves of grief.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
So for me, I'm left-handed, right? And I cut towards me, which all my knives at home are blunt for that reason, because it's dangerous.
Yeah.
And that's just the way I like to do it. But since my person's passed, sorry, a moment, cut, and I see little heart shapes in the food. So that's been a new way to look for things. I actually look forward to cooking now with my left hand, because, just to be able to cut without hurting yourself, if you're left-handed, is a miracle. But to cut whole shapes randomly, how do you explain that?
Yeah.
And it's a consistent theme, and it only happens in the kitchen. So if I cut a potato and I see a heart, I'm like, oh, they're thinking of me.
Yep.
Maybe it's nothing, but for me, I feel.
But for you, it's something.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for me, it's been looking at all those things, and now looking at the new avenue that's opened up. I would have never looked for heart shapes in my food before, but now I do.
Yeah. And you find them, don't you?
Joy. Oh, such a
Yes.
joy. And the funny thing is, as soon as I do it, I think of that person.
Yep.
So that reaffirms it for me, like, this is not coincidence.
There are
there's
no
something.
coincidences.
Yeah, there's
yes.
something divine happening.
Absolutely.
So trying to shift that, the all those happy things that used to make me so happy, looking for them in a new avenue.
Yeah.
It's been just as rewarding.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised by that.
Yeah. So anticipatory grief. So this is the mourning that begins before an actual death occurs. So for caregivers and families facing terminal illness or progressive conditions like dementia, the grief can be particularly complex and confusing because this person is still here in front of you. You may find yourself grieving the person your loved one used to be, the future you won't have together, or the gradual losses that occur with each decline. Because in dementia, it's like this stair steps of this decline. They've got a new baseline that's just going down, 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 down. And they can't adjust, so you have to do the adjusting. And it's hard. It's a lot of pressure on a caregiver. The grief is real and valid, even while your loved one is still physically present. Common experiences include feeling guilty about grieving someone who's still alive, exhaustion from the prolonged caregiving, anticipating the moment of death, and grieving multiple losses simultaneously. My grandfather was supposed to die like my entire life. He was just always a very sick man. And so we were kind of always ready for it. But when he did actually die, I could not believe how hard it hit me because he's supposed to die my entire life. You think I would have been ready for it. But then when that finality to it was like, now this is real. I didn't expect it. So tips for coping. So permission to say no. You don't have to attend every gathering to meet everyone's expectations. Declining invitations isn't selfish, it's self-care, okay? It's preservation. Your energy is limited. You get to decide how you use your energy and who you spend your time with. Modify or skip traditions. Certain traditions feel too painful this year. Give yourself permission to skip them. Or create something different. There's no rules that say you have to do everything exactly the same way you did before. Create new rituals. Honor your loved one in ways that feel meaningful to you. Like you said, the Dad's Day. You know, that's what brings you comfort, then do something like that. Or maybe you prepare their favorite dish or visit a place that was significant to them. That's up to you, and you could do that as a family. You can do that by yourself. Whatever feels good. Practice self-compassion. Be gentle with yourself. Give yourself grace. Rest. Cry when you feel like you need to. Whatever comes, let it come without judgment, because that's what your body needs. Prepare responses. Well-meaning people will ask difficult questions. Having gentle responses prepared can reduce anxiety. So thank you for asking. It's a hard time, but I'm managing day by day. Sometimes people get really intrusive, and it's like, you know, just a smile and a nod is okay sometimes. You don't have to respond. Planning ahead, identifying potential triggers beforehand, or the people that you know may trigger you, and kind of having your response ready for them. You know, you can bless and release. Go on, take care of yourself. It's okay to feel joy. One of grief's cruelest tricks is making us feel guilty when we experience moments of happiness, laughter, or lightness. You may worry that enjoying something means you're forgetting your loved one, or that your grief wasn't real, you weren't crying enough, you weren't sad enough. I mean, all of this is ridiculous, but it's true. It's how we feel. The truth is this: experiencing joy doesn't diminish your love. Your loved one wouldn't want you to stop living. Those moments of lightness aren't betrayals, they're evidence that healing is possible while still honoring what was lost. You can hold both grief and gratitude. You can miss someone deeply and still smile. It's okay. This is not contradiction. This is being a full human. Any thoughts around that? I know a lot of people struggle with that. Yes?
I was always a Broadway baby. You know, when stuff would come to town at the thing, I'd go. And it was a dad and me thing to do. And Hamilton was coming to town. Hamilton was the big show. And so Mom and I got on the computer at 9 in the morning and waited and managed to get tickets. And it turned out to be 3 weeks after my father passed was the day we went. And my mother was like, we're going, you know, because she knew it would be both sad, but also, Dad would expect me to go. It's Hamilton.
Yeah.
We would have gone together. Why wouldn't we go? And it turned out to be a really healing night for both of us.
Yeah. So you had a good time, you had
Oh,
joy,
yeah.
and you missed your dad. You did it all in the same night. Beautiful. Healing and support. So healing from grief doesn't mean forgetting or getting over it. It means gradually integrating the love and the loss into your ongoing life story. It means finding ways to carry your loved one's memory forward while also creating space for new experiences, connections, and meaning. This process takes time, often much longer than society would like to say it should take, or longer than you might want it to take. But it takes time, and it's not something you can rush. And you don't have to do it alone. Reaching out doesn't mean you're weak. Finding support groups or a good friend, or there's a lot of good books. I've got a couple recommendations at the end for some books that I've found to personally be helpful. Again, the professional support, grief counselors, therapists trained in bereavement, not just, and those are specialties. That's not just going to be any therapist. So if you're looking for a grief counselor or a therapist, you need to be upfront with them about what you need and that this is about grief, and interview them just like you would anybody else to make sure they're going to be able to meet your needs. Support groups, you know, that there's some, I see them at different libraries, they've got them online, Meetup, there's all different places you can find support groups. So find one, and sometimes you may have to go to 2 or 3 till you find one that you really connect with, and that's okay too. You might meet some really interesting people that you enjoy spending time with along the way. Faith communities, so religious or spiritual communities, can offer both practical support and spiritual guidance, if that feels better to you. Creative expression, so journaling, art therapy. I've seen some amazing artwork come out of grief. When I worked for San Diego Hospice and the Institute for Palliative Medicine, our inpatient unit had the longest waiting list in California for people to be able to put up their art. And it was all surrounded around death and dying and grief. But they were beautiful, beautiful works of art. And other expressive forms. Maybe it's a musical. Maybe there's so many different ways that you can express your, self without words alone. And then these are some, it's okay that you're not okay. I mentioned my girlfriend's husband, and I was there for 10 days from the moment he asked me how he was doing, and I had to have the conversation with him, my best friend, their children. He died. I came home. I was good until I got home. When I got home, I saw my husband. I literally collapsed on the ground. I've never felt grief like that before. And this book, It's Okay That You're Not Okay, is a lifesaver for me. Because it's raw, it's real, I just got a lot of meaning out of it. but I know these are some other ones that people have really found a lot of help with. The Year of Magical Thinking, option B. Grief is a thing with feathers. Now that I have a parrot, she's been very healing for me, actually. And then When Breath Becomes Air. So that's about everything I have. These are just different ways to meet me. Any questions, comments, takeaways? Yes?
Can you give us advice on, like, when your friend had a tragic, death of her family, as a people around somebody who is going through grief, I got the information as, sometimes people want to be left alone, but sometimes people need outreach. And how do you assess, what approach to take as a friend around the person grieving?
Yes. So when I was there, so he spent about 9 months with this battle with cancer he had. And I would talk to her weekly, and she was in Illinois, I was here, and I would keep offering, do you need me? Do you need me? Do you need me? And it was no, 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 no. And then her sister called me, and I was like, uh-oh. And they had never even discussed the fact that he might die from this. Never talked about it with the children. She's an immigration attorney. He was a very high level in what he did. So these weren't unintelligent people, but they were just very positive. They felt like that's how they needed to be. So she let me know, fortunately, through her sister when she needed me. And literally, I was on a plane the next day. But she did tell me, there's other people that I know that said, I'm trying to reach her. She's not responding. Just give her space. She didn't even know what she needed or didn't need. So I think that you can try and see how their response is, and if they seem vague or not as welcoming as you would think, I would give them space.
Would you recommend like text message? I mean,
well, that's gonna depend on the person. I sent her cards. I sent some of the communication I did was with her children, because I was the one that also had to tell them that their dad wasn't going to make it, which was very, very difficult, especially the youngest one. She's my goddaughter. She's 14 years old, and she was daddy's girl. So it's going to be life-changing for her. It just is. So I still, communicate with the kids, and then they kind of let me know how mom's doing, and I, reach out to her accordingly. But it's really hard. Everybody's really individual, and it really depends on your relationship.
yeah.
Sometimes people, I feel like, when somebody dies, they want to be helpful, they want to be well-meaning, but if you weren't somebody that was in this person's inner circle to begin with, now is not the time to try to get yourself in there. Really give them space, and they'll let you know when they're ready. But some of the, she and I talked about some of the just things that people had said to her, like everything happens for a reason, and it just really pissed her off, is what she told me. She didn't say anything to them at the time, but she just felt like so many of the things were said were more hurtful than they were helpful. So then, of course, those people too, then they're at the back, like she wants nothing to do with them. So I always, if I don't know what to say, just say nothing and be present. And as humans, we have such a hard time doing that. We can do it for about 10 seconds, but then we feel like we need to talk. But so many times people just need us to be present and just be there in silence. It's very uncomfortable, but it's very powerful. Yes?
I can kind of relate to like the isolation part of grief, because I feel like that's something that I've experienced. A couple of years ago, my partner died pretty tragically and traumatically, so
I'm sorry.
I feel like initially, like everyone was like that with me, like bombarding me, and I can't leave you alone, and you're all the things, and I think that like angered me so much too, because in the moment I was like, I just want to be alone. So I think for me, how I cope with it too, like I've created that like intimate space for myself through therapy, and I feel like I've kind of gotten over this hump where I'm like, I'm living and I need to live for myself and my kids, and I am a happy person on the surface, and I embrace that, and I cherish that about myself, so I do create that safe space, and I've had to like set those boundaries with my family and friends, like, I understand this happened, I understand you guys all went through it with me, but now like this is where I'm at, and I'm taking care of myself, and that's all you guys need to know, and I keep that privately, and that allows me to like not only live for myself but show my children as well, and that's super important for me. So
Absolutely.
I definitely can say I'm more like on the isolation part of it, where that's my time.
Yeah, but you're taking care of you during that time.
Definitely.
It's not like you're unhealthy isolating.
Yeah,
you know what I
I'm
mean?
seeing a professional, and like that's
Yeah.
where I want to keep that
Yeah.
space. And then that also allows me to like create those new traditions, new things with my children.
Yeah.
And that brings so much more positivity. So that's just the way I've had to cope with it. And of course, like you said, we're all different. It involves me, my partner, my kids. So I've had to create that space for me and for my kids to, kind of go through our grief.
And do you find, I'm sure you do, like these waves of,
Oh yeah, definitely. Sometimes I'm like, oh, it was 2 years ago, so long ago, and then there's other times where I'm like, well, that felt like yesterday.
yeah.
And then of course it's like I'm super happy sometimes, and then the triggers, and then I have my down moments. So it's definitely a wave still, for sure.
Yeah, and it always will be.
Yeah.
And I mean, would you ever want to forget about them?
I can't.
Yeah. I mean, so I think it's reframing it, and when you do get those, those waves of just, all right, you're here with me, I love you, so grateful for that time that we had together, versus, yeah, you're sad that he's gone or that they're gone, but you're reminded. You're reminded. So just sometimes just reframing it, I think, is helpful. Yes.
The hospice team where my mother was in a different county, and so it's not helpful to connect with counselors in that county when you're not there. Does that transition to other facilities, or when you have grief support with those teams?
So usually grief support is over the telephone or telehealth. So they should be able to provide that to you no matter where they are. Okay. Because I've had, when I was on hospice, families that we supported that, didn't live in the same state as the loved one, but, through telephone calls and, or telehealth, they're still able, I mean, that's a benefit that's offered and that's paid for 100%. So if they're not doing that, I push it a little bit, because that's something that your loved one was granted as part of that benefit to go to you and your family.
What if you don't connect with their initial therapist or a random person this is on the front line?
Yeah, usually, there's a chaplain, there's a social worker, and then there's usually a bereavement counselor. So sometimes that bereavement counselor might be the chaplain or the social worker, but I would ask who else they have available to connect with, because that's important, and that's something that, I would sometimes push to put people on hospice, even though we knew they may not survive for that 24 hours, but so that family could take advantage of that benefit. Because they may not need it now, but I'm telling you, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, you're gonna need it, and they deserve it. So I would push back a little bit, or see if, you know, maybe there is a hospice, you know, that's closer or something that they could connect with to help provide that for you. But that really is their responsibility to provide for you. Anything else? Okay, well, thank you. Appreciate your time, and happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly.
Sure, thank you.
You can tell she's just so caring and passionate and appreciate the information. So again, we're not going to be having anything in December, but January 14th, we'll be having a state planning attorney coming to talk about estate planning, and we're just finalizing the whole calendar for next year. So watch for that on the Anything Library or however you follow any of us for next year. So thank you for coming, and yes, have a
Thank you.